But now it's very consistent because I stuck with it and I literally rewired my brain, and now I have access to way more of my brain than I ever had in my entire life. And then whenever I actually do get into flow state now, it's like on another planet. Like, it's absolutely incredible. What up, guys? It's Ryan Cruz from Kismet Academy, and I'm standing here in the middle of this frigid day, in the middle of global warming, to tell you about something that is incredibly important and is going to change your dating life forever. What I want to talk to you guys today is about flow state. Think of flow like a spectrum, and that spectrum is the percentage of your brain that you're actually using on a day-to-day basis. And so this advice is going to be great for you if you're in business, or it's going to be great for you if you're an athlete or do any type of performance activity, especially your dating life. And the dating life is where I started to really see the results of working on my flow state and working on my cognitive function really blossom, and it helped my dating life tremendously. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen that movie Limitless with Bradley Cooper. If not, you should definitely go check it out. It is an amazing self-help movie. But basically what happens in that movie is they take this pill that gives you access to your whole brain. So I don't remember exactly what percent of the brain people normally access, if it's like 5% or 7%, but it's an incredibly small amount of your brain that you're actually able to access whenever you want. And by taking that pill, it basically gives you access to your whole brain. So it takes this guy who's basically a loser, and it turns him into this like multi-millionaire, like super cool guy, just from taking that one pill. And so that's basically the entire principle of flow state, except we don't have to take pills. I know they do have some pills called nootropics that claim to be a limitless pill. Whether or not they actually work is yet to be seen. I've never taken them personally, but I have been able to access flow state without taking a single pill. The way that you access your flow state, I don't know if you guys have ever noticed before, but sometimes you go out and you talk to people, and it's just like you feel like you live in a fog, and your brain is very slow, and everything happens faster than you can kind of comprehend. That's what happens when you're only using a small, tiny portion of your brain, and you're not in you're not in flow state whatsoever. On the other end of the spectrum, you may have experienced something where you go and you're in a social situation, or maybe you're at a party or something, you're around your friends, and those very difficult social interactions that you had whenever you were like in that fog seem to be very easy and very natural for you. And that's what happens whenever you get into flow state. I remember the first time I ever experienced flow state was whenever I was like 19 years old, when I started doing day game. And I was actually really pathetic whenever it came to social skills and game and dealing with women and all that stuff, but it actually translated into my entire life. And I remember having this job where I was working in a mailroom somewhere, and I was just literally like so stupid that I couldn't even do that job where you just sit there and like sort mail. Like, I was constantly tired, I was exhausted just from being alive, and every day felt like it was 4 a.m. for me. I almost got fired from that job just because I was performing at such a low level. But it just so happens that I started doing day game during the time that I was working at that job. And so just getting out and like talking to people and forcing myself to like come alive and force myself into new territory and actually start building a skill and start to get kind of good at it. And then I start getting some positive reinforcement from the success and the numbers that I was getting, that it actually made me experience that flow state. And I had already watched that movie Limitless at that point, but I was like, damn, this is literally exactly like Limitless, because I felt so good. I felt like I was on fire, and I could go into a room and I could talk to anybody, and I was not scared to talk to anyone at that point. It was just like every interaction I was having was like the best social interaction that I ever had in my entire life. And that's what happens whenever you find finally get into flow state. And you don't even have to like talk to people to get into flow state. Lots of people find flow in any activity that they do. The basic formula to get into flow state is to have an activity that requires your focus and is slightly more difficult than your current ability to achieve or to do that thing. So if it's like, let's say you like to play guitar, then playing guitar might put you into the zone. You might start to learn a song and then you get better at it and you get better and you start playing and you're like, wow, I didn't even know that I had the capability to do that great stuff or to play the song that beautifully. Like I'm better than John Mayer right now. And so whenever you engage in any sort of activity, it helps you to basically let go of your ego and let go of your, need to be perfect in every single situation, and you just be perfect. What happened to me was I got into flow state. I went to bed that night. The next day I got up and I was absolutely back to normal. And I was just going through my day just as if nothing had ever happened. And what I started to realize was that if I could have if I could face some sort of a fear, like a social fear early on in the day, that it could help me to get back into that flow state. And it would make me better throughout the day. And it actually made me better at my job, and I was better at like just communicating with the people around me whenever I would get up early and go and like hit up some random stranger and just like talk to them. Or I would try to talk to like 3 people every single morning, and that would help me to just basically get out of my head and to access more of my brain. And so later on, as life progresses, you're gonna notice that the things that at one time was the top of the line moment for you. Like, let's say you're at a party and you get this beautiful girl's number and you're just like on fire. It's like, I can't do anything wrong right now. Well, that level is actually going to become a norm for you once you train your brain in that way. So what I used to call flow state now is actually me on a bad day. And then my level of flow state has just increased. I remember moving to Texas, and one of my biggest things for moving to Texas was I wanted to live in a house with other people. I wanted to have roommates because I knew that would force me to have a social interaction every single morning. Like, you wake up, you see your roommates, and that's your first social interaction for the day. And if I could do that consistently for a period of time, then I understood that would basically, that level of flow state that I would get from that would become my baseline. And so I used to have days where I would absolutely suck and I would go back into my fog, and then I'd have a good day and then I'd have another bad day. But now it's very consistent because I stuck with it and I literally rewired my brain, and now I have access to way more of my brain than I ever had in my entire life. And then whenever I actually do get into flow state now, it's like on another planet. Like, it's absolutely incredible. And if I was 19 years old and I could see myself now getting into flow state, like going to a party and like talking to people and just like having a great time, I would not even believe that would be the same person. And nobody who could see me now would believe that I'm the same person that I was whenever I was 19 years old, because I was so pathetic and so hideous. I would go through social interactions and somebody would like say something funny to me or like try to make a joke, and I just couldn't, I would want to say something funny back, but I just was so slow that I wouldn't come up with something to say for like 3 or 4 minutes after they left. And I'd be like, that's what I should have said. So that's something that you can definitely work on and improve on. And once you start getting into flow state, then every interaction you have is going to improve. Like, whether you're just ordering a cheeseburger from McDonald's, you're going to have a better interaction with the person behind the counter. You can probably make them laugh a little bit, make them smile, and improve their day. So just by getting yourself out of your own way, you can actually start to improve the lives of every single person that you encounter by utilizing this flow state. So this is something that a lot of high-end athletes will do. Olympic athletes will train to get into state, and there's a lot of different names for it. Some people just call it like being in the zone, but really what it is just having access to more of your brain without having to think about it. And so once you do start getting into flow state, you can actually do way more than you have ever been able to do previously, and it'll actually take less energy for you to do that thing. The difference between introverts and extroverts is the fact that introverts, whenever they go out and socialize, it actually drains them of energy, and then extroverts gain energy from being in a crowd of people and like socializing. Well, the difference there is because the extrovert is just learn how to become in flow in their life. And so whenever they go out and interact with people, it builds them up and it gives them energy and it fills their cup. And then likewise with the introvert, it's the same thing, only they lose energy from being in those interactions and they have to go home and recharge their batteries. But once the flow state becomes a normality for you, and whatever it is, like some people really enjoy work, like some people don't enjoy work and they go home and they're completely exhausted and completely drained and they have to take a nap before they can even like make supper for themselves. And I say that out of experience because that's how I used to be, especially when I was really depressed and just hated life. But what happens now is whenever I'm actually out working, I'm gaining energy. Whenever I'm working on like Kismet Academy, like whatever the thing is, if I have to learn how to code to do something on the site, then I do it and I get into flow state by learning that new skill. Or I can go out and film something, and what used to really drain me would be just talking to the camera like I'm doing right now, but now I look forward to it. Now I wake up and I think, ooh, I have this great idea. This is something that's gonna be really important and change a lot of people's lives. I gotta get on camera and say it as soon as possible. That's why you see me out here in the middle of nowhere when it's like 20 degrees. So I'm gaining energy from being here, and it's getting me into the zone. It's getting me into state just by talking on camera now, which is something that I used to really, really hate, and it would absolutely exhaust me because I was having to use so much mental energy and take up so much mental real estate just to like string a few words together in a coherent fashion. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut the video off here because I cannot feel my fingers anymore, and I'm pretty sure if I take my boots off, I'm gonna also remove the bottom layer of my feet. But I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And if you're seeing this on YouTube, that is. And for everyone else, thank you for watching, and we're gonna see you very soon in a new video.